Yes, everybody, welcome to the first of the post-match podcast. This is the Stretford Paddock FC post-match podcast. Now, you might have noticed we haven't played any fucking games, but it does sound like that might change pretty soon. So we're going to call it the post-match podcast because as we played matches, we're all going to pile back into here, a couple of coaches, players and stuff like that, and we're going to talk about how the game went immediately after the game as we start playing matches. So get used to this every single Saturday around about tea time-ish, depending obviously if United are playing, because then that fucks things up. But otherwise, that's when it's roughly going to go. I'll introduce everybody at the table so you know him. You might already know him, but this is Cameron.
Hi, my name's Cameron.
This is Yaya.
Hiya.
So Cam's a player. Ieuan's a player, but he's also going to be doing some analysis for us. And we've got Adam on the end, who's just brought us some absolutely banging Stretford Paddock cakes.
Yeah. Very nice.
Go and check out our Instagram. By the time this comes out, they might have already gone, but I might just do a feed post on there as well because they're so good.
A daily post.
Yeah, just a daily post. Like, you bring us more cake. But definitely go and check out Adam. Adam does, well, you're a baker, aren't you?
Yeah. Cakes, cupcakes, wedding cakes, all kinds of stuff. We're doing brownies soon, so I need flavour ideas as well. I've not decided on.
If you need any tasters,
yeah,
I'm talking like any free taster sessions, just get us down.
I'm good at eating.
I'm well good at tasting. I'm diabetic.
I'm tier 1 at eating, I reckon. So we asked for questions on Twitter, and a couple of you have come in with questions. So let's get in. And the first comment was from Alex, and he says, "Is Adam bringing cakes for us?"
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes was the answer to that, Alex.
They were already baked when he sent that as well.
I think you've missed them.
Game.
Yeah.
He is here in a bit though.
Yeah, but they might already be gone.
Yeah.
And what has Cam done to change his diet as he tries to improve his fitness? Cam?
I just had a cake. Get that glucose in, I believe. That's what Sam was saying on Tuesday.
On a serious note, though, actually, we've got a sports scientist, Sam, who's probably going to be on next week's podcast. And I was chatting to him on Tuesday at Tuesday's session. And we was talking about a couple of the newer lads that have come into training, and he was talking about how they were blowing in the warm up. Yeah. How one of them threw up on the sprints. It's quite high level fitness wise, isn't it? And it's tough.
The sprints are a killer on Tuesday.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's like what's it called?
Well, last Tuesday,
like a shuttle run.
It's like a shuttle sprint and then it's a half pitch. And then it's a full pitch, basically, because you do a half pitch and a full pitch at the same time.
Last week's session was based a lot around counter-attacking. And obviously part of counter-attacking is getting back into position quickly. And that might be at both ends. You might have to get up and support the attack. You might have to get back and support the defence. So the session was obviously geared around having to do that sort of thing. And it did look tough. And it did look like it was going to be a bit rough. And then Alex, one of the new lads, did feed his dinner to the plants. But what I was saying to Sam was, it looks like the general level of the fitness, just in 4 weeks, of the lads that have been training has risen. You've only really done a couple of weeks because you're ankle, aren't you? But you two, what do you think in terms of your fitness? Do you feel fitter?
Yeah. I definitely do. Yeah. I mean, I was running anyway, but nothing like this. I was doing just long distance running,
5Ks, just lockdown 5Ks like the rest of the country.
The height.
Yeah, I started doing a few sprints and stuff, but it's just different at training. It's like with the ball, you've constantly forward and back. It's just. Yeah, it's definitely improved the last few weeks.
I feel like his sort of like methods and stuff, he knows what he's talking about as well. Whereas I just go on 5Ks and then like when I went there, I realised that you're never in the same situation as running a 5K. You're never going to be like that steady momentum in a game.
Football's
especially
all
in
about
midfield.
Farlick, isn't it? Constantly changing pace.
So the thing that I've picked up on is stop the 5K. Well, keep doing them, but make sure that you incorporate some sort of like shuttle sort of run. Because he basically said go to like your local park and use the outlines of like the pitches that were there or are there, and just do your shuttle runs from like 18-yard box, 5 yards, all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
In terms of what we've seen, I mean, the fact that people were blowing in the warm-up in the first couple of sessions, which, to be honest, I think after 3 months of relatively, even if you was doing 5Ks, it's just a different...
It's just different, isn't it?
It's just a different fitness. And I'm hoping this pre-season, because we've got a trial penciled in, I did say I was going to touch on the government guidelines. About an hour ago, it came out that under-18s are going to be able to play football as of Monday, contact, which is surely I haven't seen anything age-specific so far in any of the lockdown sort of like easement. Yeah. So surely adult football can only be a matter of weeks away now. Do you reckon?
The thing is, what I was told...
I'm trying to get Ieuan to speak because he's not said a word yet, Cam.
That's all right. I mean, there have been age-specific things. They've just not been confirmed yet. So like the EFL have been making plans for academies, and they're trying to get 16s, 18s and senior football players back into training with a view to hopefully start games programs and obviously then professional matches in September. And then a discussion was 15 and below maybe in September training with a view to October games. But that's still up in the air. That's what they're working towards, but they can't confirm it until the government backs them.
See, the thing that me and Ronaldo were speaking about after training is when they let grassroots football like contact return, it's basically saying like, why can't you just let life go back to normal?
Well, they might still be socially distanced in supermarkets. It's probably people wanting to wash their hands and probably maybe wear masks still a little bit on public transport and stuff like that. But ultimately, once contact's allowed, we're near enough there.
When you go into town at the moment, it's like a normal day. Like
just more masks.
Yeah, just obviously all the precautions and whatnot, but like your main streets like Market Street and Arndale is just full of people. It's like going on like before lockdown.
Well, that's what everybody's debating, isn't it? Because you see people at pubs getting pissed, and once you're pissed, like the police have said, you're not going to social distance. Yeah. So if they're able to allow pubs to be open knowing that's going to happen, what's the difference with sports where you may actually end up interacting less?
And another thing with
it's
sports...
outdoor.
Yeah, it's outdoor. I know that obviously it's close proximity and everyone's breathing out their arse and shit, but it's outdoors for a start. And we've seen other groups that come to the same place where we train.
Not to be a grass, but where we train, there's a ladies team, that have been playing full contact for the last 4 weeks, haven't they?
Yeah.
They've just been playing 11 asides. I think it's training, but it's still...
Yeah.
I mean, it might be there tonight again. It was every Thursday, wasn't it?
Yeah, 6 till 7, Lewis Road. So if you want to go check them out, but that's the thing, innit? It's like, we're trying to play by the rules. We're obviously loading what we're doing, and people are giving us a hard time saying, oh, that doesn't quite look a metre apart. Are you sure you're following the rules? And you're like, Jesus Christ, there's people out here like... Some people that we know, and I'm not going to grass him up, have been playing 11 asides.
I mean, I think the way to put it is if we weren't going to respect social distancing rules, we wouldn't be doing the sort of training sessions we're doing now.
Everything that we need to be doing and how we're doing them. We're splitting into our groups and whatnot. I think what we've done so far is completely...
Even then, we're not necessarily next to each other when we're in our pods of 6. It's stuff where we're doing sprints.
And naturally as well, when you go round a coach or whatever, you spread out anyway. Like we're not like hugging each other and stuff like that.
Right, let's get into some more of the questions. Notch says, what's the reaction you've had, if any, from other football clubs to the idea of a club of the YouTube fan channel Roots joining their league? I guess that's one for me to answer. The reaction has been pretty good, in all honesty. I haven't seen anyone give a shit. I've had a couple of people reply to stuff saying, XXX will batter you. And you go, right, that's ignorant for starters. Because you might be right, but you might be wrong. And there's no evidence to suggest anything. You haven't seen us. So to comment that, when there's like, if we'd have uploaded 5 matches or we'd have played 5 friendlies and we'd have like not scored a goal and lost 4-5, 0, 6, 0, 7, like then that's a fair. You'll get battered if you play us. All right, yeah, fine, because there's evidence out there that points in one direction. Yeah. But when you have no idea who we've recruited. You have no idea the level of coaching that we're doing. You have no idea about anything about us except a couple of edited videos that have gone on Twitter and YouTube. You can't comment about how good you think somebody is. That's so ignorant. In terms of the response, though, there has been a couple of clubs, local level, that have been in touch, have been quite encouraging.
I thought that when you announced it on Twitter, I thought clubs in the same sort of setup or league, they all seem to welcome it.
They did, yeah.
Seem to say hello on Twitter.
There's been a lot of them have said welcome to the league. We'll see if we're good and we smack them, see if that exists still. But
or if we're shit and then they're still like,
we'll find out. But yeah, I found there was only a couple of comments from that, and largely it was from people disconnected to the clubs. It wasn't. There's certainly no manager of a club saying we'll levy you, although there was one bellend who privated his account quite quickly after realising that he was mocking us for doing the same thing he's doing. How many players at this stage do you feel will be up to the required standards set for the coming season? Yeah, I'll ask you that one.
Well, it's been increasing a little bit because we've got players that are sort of dripping into it and have started showing up to training. And now that fitness levels are picking up and people are seeing what they're up against, everybody's putting a shift in and are competing against each other. I'd say going into the trial, we don't know what to expect from the trial, obviously, but we've got sort of 10 to 14 that I think we're fairly confident about, whether that's first team or across both squads.
Yeah, I think you're right. If we've got a friendly with Duckingfield penciled in, I really hope that we don't have to move that because that's the 30th of July. I think we might make that, or just about make that.
It'll be a rough one.
It will be a rough one on a lot of
I don't know
levels.
about what they're at training, whether they're contact or not yet.
No, they're not.
But obviously, if we've only been contact training for a week, then it's going to be the scrappiest game of football I'll ever see.
I'd welcome that because you've got some players that may not actually look as great in training, but once they're in that 11-a-side game and they're competing against real opposition, that's what you actually see what they're about. And there are some who do look good in training that just crumble or don't know where to be on the pitch.
We've also picked the hardest game we could possibly.
That's true, yeah.
Literally,
You've just won the league of the best division.
The best amateur team in Manchester. They're top of their league. They've games in hand.
You seem to have a good relationship with them, though.
It's one of my mates for like 20 years. Is their manager. So we've had a conversation, and he's like, "I'll give you my honest assessment where yous are at. If it looks like they're going to spank us, he'll take his foot off the pedal. But he's going to give us."
So when we see them making 12 changes at half time and bring on their little toddler, is that when we realise?
Well, you're probably 6-0 down at the time.
Should win this half now, lads.
What I'm hoping is, I think we can go and compete. I wouldn't have booked it if I didn't think there was. If it was just going to be a 10-0, 12-0, I wouldn't have booked it. But I don't think it is.
But if it's going to be 10-1, then
I think we've got a dozen players or so that we can go and at least compete with, and that's what I want. I don't care about losing or winning this. I expect
3 seasons for.
Of course it is. It's for us, and especially for Ieuan from your point of view. I want you to be able to go, we did those patterns that we wanted there. We're quite weak here. And then we've got to work on fixing them. That's what I want. And we chose the best team in the area. 1, because I've got a relationship with the manager, but 2, that's the literal benchmark for where we need to be. And if we can go out there and compete with them as our first ever 11-a-side, well, fucking bring on everything. And even if we lose 2-3-0, even if we don't register a goal, there's positives, I think, to take from that in a 90-minute game from a brand new football team. So before we play them, I definitely want an 11-a-side at training, full 11-a-side for 90 minutes. Maybe even broken up into 3 30-minute thirds, but I want a proper 11-a-side where we can work on shape, maybe pause it, titivate it a little bit, and then go again. Before we play them, if it all lines up, that will be the Thursday before the trial, and then we will know where we're at. Because let's say it goes like this. Thursday, we play Ducky, we lose 4-2. Just as a joke. Yeah, you've scored a couple of goals, you've conceded some. There's things to work on, but we know what the benchmark of the best team in the area is.
Yeah.
We go into the trial with the 11 that we've selected to stay together, and then we'll have all of the trialists play against you, and we can literally look at it and go, well, he slots in there and improves that. He sorts out that particular position. And then if you go, right, we're probably 3 or 4 players away from that Ducky team, you might identify them on the Saturday at the trial. And then we can go, right, do you know what? Can we book another friendly in?
Yeah.
Or we just crack on with our league season and see where we come at the end of it. But we're not gonna we're not just gonna shy away from the challenges. We're literally going out and finding what's the hardest fucking game we can have, and we'll find out is the answer. But they've been sound with us and they're up for it. In terms of how many players that are up to that standard, not enough at the moment. I want 20 plus for the first team squad. The reserve squad will be a few divisions below us in this league, but I want to come away with 2 league titles this season. One from the first and one from the reserves. Am I planning on expanding Paddock? Will there be opportunities for listeners to get involved? I guess. I don't know in what capacity, but it depends on what skill set you've got. I'll ask this to the players. Well, that's all of you, I guess, isn't it? What are you most anxious about going into competitive games once the season's up and running? Adam?
Possibly that I'm not fit enough, maybe. I feel pretty confident that we're looking... I think from starting training, we're definitely gelling as a team, aren't we? And I know we're only in our little pods of 6 or whatever, So I think we'll probably be like me, you, Ronaldo, and Luke and David, and that we're sort of gelling, and we sort of know each other's weaknesses and strengths and stuff. I feel like it'll be a completely different. If we do an 11-a-side, like you said, and into 11, that'll be completely different to the one that we had a few before lockdown.
It's just making sure that, I don't know, at the moment it's anxiety on whether everyone's going to understand the shape or whether everyone's going to understand our plays and stuff, because we can't. Well, we can work on them, but we can't. We haven't seen them yet, and whether they work. And obviously, 11-a-side, like actually getting onto a pitch,
and there's things
rather
that
than
we're
just
doing
in your own little bubble.
There's things that we're doing in training now that it's definitely looking like it's getting better, but because we've not got if we're doing attacking drills, we've not got a defensive element.
Yeah, there's no example on how it goes.
Yeah. It's just an empty goal at the end and stuff, and so it'll be interesting to see what's that.
And I think in terms like the team cohesion bit, where you're saying it's good at the moment, I think that can only get better once you can start doing contact and stuff, and when people can actually
and even things like a night out together.
Like all the like sort of team bonding thing that will eventually come.
There's still a little bit of shyness I see with players not wanting to either dig each other out or praise each other. I'm still seeing people hold it inside a little bit. You might not have seen this with these on Tuesday, but the red group on Tuesday in the rondos that we were doing, Ronaldo got Meg 3 times and he got the piss ripped out of him.
Meg.
That's what you want, though.
It is what I want. It is totally what I want. The team spirit in that.
Yeah. Was it twice in one goal as well?
Yeah, he got megged and then someone did a Rabona Meg on him. I can't remember who.
But from you two lads' point of view, did you feel like the team spirit was getting there in that particular drill?
Because I feel like if there was contact allowed,
that,
there might have been a few like rubs on his head or whatever. He would just sort of like stop the ronda.
But yeah, I was really encouraged by that. Anxious about anything going into this?
I think it's just making sure that even though things may seem like they're going well in our current training, not convincing ourselves that these are necessarily good habits we're building up.
I don't think
it's good technically in that small space, but you've got to remember that it's going into 11-a-side, and what may work in that space, and it may feel like you found a shortcut, won't work when you move to 11-a-side. So even though it seems like good habits now, they could become bad habits. And it's just about trying to either progress it over time, and that's not just down to players, that's down to staff, but it's also about making sure you keep an open mind and think, well, we've actually got a long way to go to be where we want to be.
I think the anxiety of having some sort of following as well. I've never played for a club that has had a following. I don't know how many people are still going to watch it. I don't know how many people are even going to watch anything. But the fact that people are still watching stuff and there's still interaction on like the social media and everything like that, and there's some sort of interest in the club. I've never had that. So that sort of is something that everyone's probably going to have to deal with, other than maybe a couple of players that have already been there.
Yeah, undoubtedly.
So that's one thing
that issue.
That would be I'm anxious about, in terms of you could play a bad game and off the back of it people would be like, oh, Cam's shit, and then you're just there like, oh yeah,
I might tweet that out, yeah.
But
it's
but that's an anxiety sort of thing that not just myself but other players might have to deal with. And then also, I don't think anyone's going into this like complacent. Like, people, just because we're training well doesn't mean that people are going to go into games and go, oh, we're going to batter these or whatever. Like, I don't think that is. And also, this is the main thing, is if we lose our first game, the backlash off that is just the fact that you just got to keep going. You might lose the first 2 and then end up winning the next 10 or whatever. You just, like, wins, draws, losses all happen if you haven't got a following anyway. Yep. It's just that it will be brought to your attention more when you have a following.
Everything's amplified.
Yeah. But you've just got to get rid of that.
We sell hundreds in the first weekend. I don't think there's conference teams that do that. But because of that, everything we do is amplified. Every good thing we do gets amplified, but every negative thing that we do gets amplified.
I think you just got to get it out of your head.
Yeah, I mean, if we come bottom of the league, like, I've set myself up as the manager of this to get ridiculed, whether it's on me or not. That's how football goes.
Score a few own goals.
But like, you just got to be aware. Every single thing that we do is amplified, and hopefully the things that we put in place. Like, I think we've got an excellent coaching staff because there's so many coaches. But everyone's there pulling their weight. And actually, some of them still haven't got back from lockdown yet and are still elsewhere. Once we get our full quota of coaches, we finalise our squad, I'm really confident that we're going to be competitive. I'm not going to sit here and say, I've told the lads I want to win every game, but we have to have that mentality, whether we're capable of that or not. What we actually need to be is just competitive. As long as we're not, 0 for 30, because that's heartbreaking. I mean, I can't imagine we're that bad. And feel free to click this up and send
Touching wood.
Fucking hell. But I think we'll be competitive, and that's fine. If we don't win anything, that's fine. Of course I want to win stuff, but ultimately the journey of this is going to be interesting regardless.
Yeah.
The main thing is, I think, is just like we're just everyone else. We're just like a normal football team that wants to win stuff. Tell me a football team that sets up to lose everything.
No,
everyone in the club
Saturday,
is sort of one has played before, loves football, and wants to give it a go.
Dan's in the comments and he's saying, as a manager, will you adjust to the players you have and play a formation that suits them, or do you have a formation you want to play and you'll be recruiting players to fit that system? A little bit of both. And I think you've got to be a little bit of both. I can't go, well, this is how we're playing, and just have players that don't fit that in the slightest. The conversations we've had so far, playing style-wise, very much tailored to what is available to us, but it's also how we want to line up anyway, more or less.
Well, we want to play nice football, but then in the back of our mind, we've also got that realism of what's going to help us perform in this league, and what are we going to have to deal with, especially off the ball.
Yeah.
So we've had the discussions, but again, until that second trial and we really know what squad we're working with, we're not going to set anything in stone.
No.
And we're also doing...
Which is why the players haven't seen it.
Exactly.
We're also doing drills for certain sort of like things that could happen.
Yeah.
So that drill we did on Tuesday, the last drill, how we sort of learnt, obviously when you press and then like certain other things around, I'm not going to speak about it too much, but then you obviously have that long ball sort of thing, but whether they can make that long ball is up to them. So you've just got to like, there's things that you learn. Like the training sessions aren't just normal, basic, like under 14s, like that sort of level. Like it's actual.
It's definitely tailored to what.
It's tailored to what you're going to expect. And
so on that then, because I have seen a few people talking about the coaches and stuff like that from heavily edited clips on the Football Manager thing that's gone out, which I think is unfair. From your perspective as players, and you can include yourself in this if you want, what do you feel of the training sessions that you've had so far?
I think they've been really helpful. Like, so I've not really necessarily played for an academy side before, so I've never had that level of coaching before. But it's definitely helped me to understand what it is that you want from us, and I mean, and each coach brings something different as well. I think the drills that we've been doing, you know, there's things that bring out strengths in certain players, and then in another drill we'll do it, and somebody else will look like they're the best and stuff like that. So. Even the fitness, having Sam as well, though, that's been brilliant for me. Like, that's when I was saying I was worried about fitness in an 11-a-side game. I know I'm okay playing 5-6-a-side, but 11-a-side is a completely different thing, isn't it? And I think it's really working.
They've shown that they know what they're on about as well. They're not just like turning up with like, I've got an FA level 1 or whatever. Like, oh, I've got a coach's badge. They're actually like putting it on the table. Like, this is what we know. This is what you're learning, and you do pick things up. And if you're finding the drill too easy, they'll change it so that there's another thing to think about in the back of your mind, like, and to see if you can think about it before they then go, so what that change was for this, but you picked up on it or you haven't picked up on it.
From what you was doing last, or who you was playing for last season then, how would you compare?
The training?
Yeah.
Oh, it's completely different, because obviously, I played for uni, which is a bit more intense and stuff, but I wasn't playing Saturdays last season because I was playing for uni, so I played uni and Sundays. Sunday league is just a bit more of a laugh. Like, you turn up for training, you do drills and stuff, but it's not as intense, and the push isn't as there. Obviously, you want to perform well and train well, and the manager and stuff wants you to train well as well. But that sort of intensity level or the sort of quality or whatever isn't always there. But in every club, because I've really enjoyed my time at that club, was good. And then uni, obviously, I'm seeing some of the drills that we're doing here, I've done at uni, which is a good thing, because the coach at uni was like quite a high sort of standard Welsh under 21s, I think he managed for a bit, or was in that sort of setup. So yeah, it's good to see what we're doing is obviously helping, and I'm still learning stuff from it. So
yeah, and obviously you're involved in the planning of some of the sessions, but have you been happy with the technical level of coaching sessions that we've been putting on for the lads?
Yeah, overall, I mean, I think the first thing that's worth remembering as well is this is a bit new to all of us because it's a lockdown period. So the sessions are different to they
the sessions are just...
And that goes from you talking about level 1, level 2, but anybody working in academies, it's the same thing. It's new to almost everybody at the minute. So they're coping with that, and they're doing it really well. And what sets them apart of some of the other coaches is they don't feel the need to overcomplicate the session in terms of the design. It's still the same sort of design that you'd find in, you say, like an under-14s team at a grassroots. But what they do is they add detail and feedback and clear progressions, and there's a clear plan. And so it's about the feedback they're providing to the players and the observations that they make, rather than trying to make this overcomplicated session.
And I think the good thing with the feedback as well, it's not just one way. They don't just give us feedback. They ask us, like, on the end of that drill, he was asking what things did you pick up? We told them, and then they went, right, I'll make it harder for next week then if you want that. So the feedback works both ways. So they tell us what they thought was good and bad. We tell them what we thought was good, maybe things that we found easy or hard, and then they tweak it. So obviously today when we go and do a similar drill as we did on Tuesday, it'll be the same drill, but then they'll be like, but there's this.
Yeah, there might be an extra man or a man less.
That's why we're operating that way at the minute. We're doing the same base for the session Tuesday to Thursday, but you feel like it's a different session at times on a Thursday because there's progressions from what we've done before, and that will be planned ahead on the Sunday before Tuesday in the first place, and then you'll take on board the feedback from what you've observed from the players and what the players feedback to you as well.
Yeah, we have a coaches meeting every Tuesday on Zoom, which obviously started as a lockdown thing, but has actually been quite useful.
Yeah.
And in terms of ensuring everything's ready for the session, have you ever arrived at a session and gone, these dickheads don't know what they're doing here, do they? No, everything's always laid out.
As you know, as soon as you go to Sam as well, you're just like, because you'll be like playing foot in the others, and then you go to Sam and he's just got cones out, and you're like, where's the ball?
ain't no ball. What is Stretford Paddock's playing style? What formations will you use? Are there any football teams and managers you use for inspiration? Playing style is definitely going to be on the floor. We've got a small team, I think it's fair to say, currently. But it's quite a technical and probably quite a fast team. From what I can gather, we've got so far, fullbacks are small, technical, aggressive. Forwards are small, technical, aggressive. Wingers are small, technical, aggressive. I think we've got a couple of tall centre halves. Kayla's fairly tall. That's it. So we're looking at, if anything, it would be more reminiscent of City than anyone else that you could pinpoint in the league. But
we really haven't got anyone who's like...
No giants.
In terms of managers, though, you've obviously been reading a lot of books over lockdown, haven't you?
Oh, have I? Yeah, I have. If you've not watched it, go watch Meet the Team. I'll tell you that. I'm a big fan of Bielsa, as you fuckers are going to find out. Second...
Are you going to get a box to sit on?
Might do.
Imagine. Look to the dugout.
That's the least of your worries.
Look to the dugout and you just sees that on a box. Like, what's going on here?
That is the least of your worries.
Yeah.
Wait until you find
sleeping
out.
in the training ground as well.
The session that we're going to be doing, Murder Ball, is going to be an interesting session for you. So, there's a couple of you have been explained it. Yeah. For the audience, Murder Ball is something Bielsa has carried with him at every club from Argentina. He used it at Marseille, he used it in Italy, he's using it. It's called Murder Ball at Leeds. It was called Champions, Championes, or Campiones. It's had a different name at every single club. I like Murder Ball. I think it draws up connotations of certain things, doesn't it?
Great thumbnail, isn't it?
Fucking is it. And for trust me, lads, is going to be a standalone video, that session, so don't worry about it. And I will fully explain it in that video. But in a nutshell, there's no rules. There's no referee. There's no throw-ins, goal kicks, corners, and even when a goal is scored. So what happens is you have a coach in each quarter of the pitch, so 2 in each half. Whenever the ball goes out of play, let's say it goes out, right wing, right by the corner flag, the coach at left back drops a ball, blows a whistle, ball's in play from there. So if you look at Bielsa teams, they work hard off the ball. They're very good counter-attacking, but also like counter-defending teams. And the idea is then whoever gets to that ball first is in possession. Yeah. So if the attacking team gets it, the defence is immediately on the defensive. If the defence gets it, they've immediately got to start playing out. You reckon we're only going to last 10 minutes, don't you?
Currently, based on what we've observed, 10 minutes, and that could be generous. If you want to maintain the level.
Yeah.
You know, obviously you could keep going, but everybody will be walking around. Half of them will be doing it.
So every time the ball goes out of play, the no fouls one's going to be an interesting one because we're not policing it. And obviously there has to be some level
someone launching someone across.
Well, yeah.
Someone's running for the ball.
Well,
Yeah.
You know, if you have a disagreement, because disagreements will happen between teammates, and usually you move on like 20 minutes later and you move past it. But in the heat of the moment, if nobody's there to stop you or tell you you can't do that, what's going to happen?
Fucking muller him. I'm not encouraging it, but I'm not discouraging it either. Just
so today's trainer just like to report there's been 4 A&E visitors.
But what Leeds say is, and there is a tactical and performance reason for us doing it, which
we will find out.
We know we're going to get shit from other clubs, and we know that they're probably going to play intensely against us because we're filming the sessions. And we're filming them, and people are going to be like, I already know what some of the opposition are going to put on your fucking YouTube if they score past us or they muller someone into the fucking goal line. Like, that's definitely happening. So to anaesthetise us from that a little bit, we're going to fucking murder each other in training once a month. Like, what Leeds say is the hardest session that they do, it's harder than a championship game, is murder ball. And that is the mentality I want. So if everything goes to plan in terms of timeline for friendlies and the trial, Thursday the 30th will be our first friendly. The Saturday the 1st will be the trial.
Yeah.
We're doing a player presentation to explain the club on the Tuesday, so we'll cancel training, we'll do a classroom session. But that Thursday, the first training session that we have as our confirmed squad will be murder ball. And out of the 50 players, we'll probably pick like 4 teams. So the hour-long session, you'll just go in and then you'll come off and rest and then you'll go back in again until you're toast, essentially. But there's fitness reasons to do it. There's mentality reasons to do it. It's certainly not going to be a technical session.
Tactically, it can be important, though, because the whole challenge is, can you adapt, react to wherever the ball is on the pitch and get back in your shape? And that's whether you're just starting or whether you're knackered after 20 minutes of absolutely legging it. Yep.
So look forward to that, our kid. I can't wait for that. I might actually get a cool box for that session, just for that session, and only use it for that session, just in homage to Bielsa. But yeah, look, that is one of the things that we're going to be doing in terms of the session. I can't remember what question that was. Well, that was in terms of what's our playing style and who inspires us. So yeah, definitely Bielsa. Actually Guardiola for the final third stuff, but there are going to be, we're going to be, we're a grassroots team, so we're not going to be playing it around at centre-half. And I have actually said to the centre-halves, if you pass to the other centre-half, I am going to take you off. I want it to go into midfield first, and then we can potentially rotate possession a little bit. We're not going to be a long ball team because we've got just midgets. We're going to be a team that hopefully gets it into the final third along the floor with purpose, with with a bit of attitude, and then scores goals. That's how I'm hoping we do it. Fast, aggressive football on the floor. So it'd be interesting to see if we're able to convert that, because that will be fun. Formation-wise, we're working on a 4-3-3 at the moment. It offers us the most flexibility. If we're getting penned back, you fly into a 4-6-0 worst case scenario, or 4-5-1 in most scenarios. And the way I want the defence to slide, it would be 5-4-1 at times as well, with the number 6 dropping in, which I have already spoken to Caleb about if he's a number 6, if selected. That's pretty much it in terms of questions. Anything from anybody?
No, just let's be on time for training today.
I was going to say, what time is it now? Yeah, it's nearly 5 now.
Yeah. All right. Right, which camera I'll go into? I'll go to this one. Cheers for dropping by. Cheers for tuning in. Subscribe if you're new. Like I said, this is the post-match podcast. For the next 3 weeks or so, it's probably going to be a pre-training podcast that we record and put out a couple of days later. But this is going to live in the Saturday afternoon slot, which will be post-match once we get going. Might even be live. There is planned for 7 days of content on the channel, hopefully around about the second week of August. If that sort of plan goes ahead, we should hit like 5-6 days of content around that time, because contact is in and we can do more drills, and we've got Keno's going to be doing some strength and conditioning sessions in the gym with some of the players. When we say we're going to show stuff that most clubs will not, and will refuse to show. We really mean it. And we saw a couple of the comments from the Football Manager video the other day where they were saying, "Oh, is it good to be sitting there talking about the players?" Well, for one, we didn't slag Richie off. Love Richie. Literally said he is the starting right back.
His WhatsApp message after is hilarious as well.
Yeah, Richie did Google how to run properly afterwards as well. But we are showing you everything. We will show you what goes on in the dressing room, and it isn't for the outrage and it isn't for the over-the-top reactions, because that's not who we are as people and that's not what this football club's going to be about. But it's to show you the honest workings of a football club, the team meetings, the coaches meetings, all that sort of stuff, the analysis sessions that we send out to the players to show them. Like, we're working on an expected goals one at the moment. Like, all those sorts of things. We want the audience to be obviously people who watch Stretford Paddock, but we want the audience to ultimately be other coaches, players at other clubs, that sort of stuff, because we hope there's an educational element to what we're doing. As I go through my journey as a coach and get my badges and stuff like that, hopefully other people see that, get in the mix, want to do it themselves, and that's where we're aiming for this to be. But from me and the lads tonight, cheers for tuning in. Subscribe, get any of your comments and questions for next week's podcast in. I don't know who we'll have on next week, but we'll figure it out. Laters.